issue got delayed, and it might happen again also. There is some VGI issue here. Okay. Okay, so what did we discuss in our last class? Did you completed your practicals? Completed? From Linux machine also you connected? Ah. Top, huh? Very nice. Online guys. Okay, so everyone are up to date then, huh? Very good. So today what we're gonna talk about is, sir, we saw you. Where? You took my photo? Oh, inta talent gunnar. Who is that? Huh? Huh? Avuna. Huh? Correct, correct. Uh-huh. You're like junior NTR. Ori. Oh, okay. You guys are talented advertisers here. Okay. Nice. But good you saw me, right? Yeah, that's good. Otherwise, it will be like AWS God teaching you all the time and never saw the code, huh? Okay. So, fine. So, today what we're going to talk about is DynamoDB. Which one? DynamoDB. So, basically, this DynamoDB is also, it's purely for the developers, yeah. Okay, it's purely for developers. But as we don't skip any of the service, so for that reason, we'll go and touch that DynamoDB also, even though it is not in our basket. So let me share my screen. I should have some material. Okay, so bear with me. First time I'm just opening the PPTs, and for a few minutes, I'll go with the PPT, and then I'll come back to our normal paints. So let me share my screen. Okay. Chitty, can you please confirm? Can you see my screen and can you hear me well? Okay. Okay, let's go for now for a few minutes on DynamoDB with the PPT. Okay. So guys, we know what is the single line of answer that we have learned for the DynamoDB. If anyone asks what is DynamoDB, what do you say? Yes, it's a NoSQL service in AWS. What is that called? It's a NoSQL service in AWS. So guys, what is this NoSQL? Before that, I go on the NoSQL. It is not our job to go deeper onto the NoSQL, but I'll just give you a couple of things. So what is the traditional architecture we have? The traditional architecture is, today we have application and the application will be connected to your database. That is a normal approach. And also that database is mostly your RDBMS databases only. Remember what is RDBMS? Relational Database Management System. All your MS SQL, Postgres, MySQL, whatever the RDS is supporting, all those are all RDBMS databases only. So all your applications are getting connected to your RDBMS database. So just imagine if I ask you a question like, if you don't mind, can you please drag that curtain? Someone is watching me outside. Curtain. Ah, thank you. Some lady. Okay. So guys, here NoSQL meaning here. Okay. So if you take any Okay, so I'm back. Chidi, can you please hear? Can you hear me? Okay, so there's a power issue. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, guys. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, okay, let him come. So meanwhile, guys, so we have RDBMS databases, correct? So let me ask you one question. We have big websites like Amazon, Facebook, and, LinkedIn, and all. So if I ask you a question, the immediate database that, let's say, Amazon using is MS SQL Server. Do you agree if I say that? Do you agree if I say that? MS SQL Server or Postgres or MySQL. So guys, that giant big applications, they don't go with the direct RDBMS databases, because there is a big glitch here, because RDBMS databases is good for something up to certain limit. If we need to have an extreme high performance, that RDBMS databases will support that extreme high performance? No. So for that reason, I'm saying that if Amazon or ఇది ఉంది, just power on. So right, if Amazon and Flipkart, if they are using direct MySQL or any RDBMS databases, they don't get that huge good performance, high performance. For that reason, guys, for that reason, so, and also if you want to increase the performance of your RDBMS databases, let's say if you take RDS itself, in RDS we have Postgres. In RDS we have Postgres. If you want to increase the performance of your database, what you do in RDS? You create a read replicas, or you can scale up. You can scale up. So scale up meaning increasing the capacity of the, from T2 micro to T2 large, X large, 16 GB or 70 GB, 80 GB or 200 GB RAM. You'll keep on scaling up. But how long will you keep on scale up? There will be a limit, no? So is it a costly affair or not? It's definitely a costly work. And also you cannot keep on increasing the capacity. There will be a one limit. So remember, RDBMS generally don't give a very high performance. It is good for certain limit, but you cannot expect a very extreme high performance. You cannot expect it from RDBMS. So, and also the databases have SQL query language. Do you know about SQL queries? Okay, if you don't know, it's okay, that's fine. So SQL queries meaning, let's say, for example, you have a database. And how do you fetch the data? You need to write some query. You need to write some query. Let's say you have a database, you have a table. You have a table. And if you want to get the details of all the information about, let's say you say Excel sheet, no. You have Excel sheet, you open the Excel sheet, you see all the rows and columns and rows with all the data. From Excel sheet, you can see everything in one shot. But whereas in database, you cannot see that. So you need to write some query and get the data. Let's say there is a small query called select star from table. If you put select star from table, that means you will retrieve all the rows of the table. So like this, you have a database SQL. What is SQL here? Structured query language. What is that called? Structured query language. Using this SQL queries, you retrieve the data. And guys, those who knows already SQL, so have you heard about these rows, columns, joins, indexes, inner query, outer query, subqueries, right? Inner join, outer join. There are so many different types of queries are there in it. So that's why I said, guys, everyone in today's class, guys, online and offline, please tune your brains to developer mode. Okay. Whatever I'm saying today is mostly the developer topics. Don't be just like you tell sir, I listen. No. So please tune your brain to developer mode. Tune it. Tuned? Okay, you got tuned. Okay. So And also you did so many operations in your RDBMS. And also, do you remember what is vertical scaling? What is vertical scaling? Which one is vertical scaling, Nana? Vertical scaling. In starting, we have learned which is called vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. Scalability. Which one? Scalability. Very good. Right? In scalability meaning we are scale up, scale down. So for how long you will scale up? For how long will you scale up? That is called scalability. You cannot keep on scaling up the machines. So in RDBMS, that is a problem. So you cannot keep on increasing the increasing the capacity of the server. So for that reason, if you need to have a super high performance, if you need to have a very good performance and super high performance, so big companies like Amazon, Facebook, very big internet giant companies, what they did is they started with this something called NoSQL databases. What is that? NoSQL. NoSQL meaning not only SQL. No meaning not only SQL. So these people are saying, Babu, don't die with only knowing SQL server. Right? There is something also called NoSQL. So guys, without SQL, you can also query so many things and you can increase the performance of the application and database using this NoSQL service. This NoSQL service will not concentrate on vertical scaling. NoSQL service will not concentrate on vertical scaling. RDBMS concentrate on vertical scaling. This NoSQL service will concentrate on horizontal scaling. What is horizontal scaling? Scale out and scaling. That meaning increasing the number of servers. Instead of increasing the capacity of the servers, you're increasing the number of servers. So here, so which one is in this NoSQL? NoSQL supports which one? Yes, right. So scale out and scaling, that is your horizontal scaling. Okay, so NoSQL meaning here, not only SQL. Guys, in RDBMS, if you know RD databases concept, everything is structured. It is a relational database, correct? You will create a table. And have you heard about keys are there inside the tables? What are the keys? Primary keys, composite keys, secondary. You have so many keys are there. So, and also, can you tell me, can you create a, guys, database, or those who know already the database, answer me. Can you create a table just like that? No way. You cannot create the table just like that. Without a proper planning, without a proper design, you cannot create a table in RDBMS. Right? Okay, this will off view, right? So you cannot create the table just like that, because you need to have a column names, no? You need to decide what are the columns name you have. You need to know the data type of that column name. And then you have to so many things that you need to create it. But whereas everything is relational in RDBMS. Which one? It is relational, but NoSQL is non-relational. NoSQL is what? Non-relational. So do you have any relations here? No relations. It is completely non-relational database. Okay, now tell me, in your normal RDBMS databases, you cannot create Chumma table like that. And okay, now you create a table. Is it possible to add a new column after you get a lot of data inside the table? It's very hard. You have a lot of data inside the table. Is it possible to just go and add another column? It's a problem. But here in NoSQL, anytime you can go and add the columns. No fixed schemas. Schemas meaning columns. No fixed schemas. Anytime you can go and create a table, and not null also allowed. Everything is allowed here. It is not any fixed. It is non-relational. In market, what are the few? Can you tell me what are the few NoSQL databases that you know already? In market, you have MongoDB, you have Cassandra, you have guys, online guys, right? So we have so many nowadays. The latest technology is NoSQL only, because it will be used for the extreme high performance. So that's why people will go with the NoSQL databases. Postgres is RDBMS or NoSQL? RDBMS, because it is in RDS. No, it is RDBMS. But the thing is here, this NoSQL databases doesn't support joins, a very big queries and all. If you want to, let's say guys, for example, you have Excel sheet, you have so much of data. Can you write queries in your Excel sheet? Formulas? You can write formulas. No, you can write the formulas and get the exact data. No. Similarly, here also in RDBMS, you can write a powerful queries and get the exact data. But in NoSQL service, is it possible to write that extraordinary complex queries? No. This NoSQL service is meant only to get extreme high performance. It is not designed to write a complex queries. No. Okay. And NoSQL scale vertically or horizontally? Horizontally. So I gave few differences between SQL and NoSQL. See, SQL is generally used in RDBMS. NoSQL is for non-relational. So here everything, the data is structured. But whereas in NoSQL it is unstructured. Unstructured meaning, so NoSQL mostly they use JSON. What is the in DynamoDB also, entire data is saved in the which format? JSON format. Here in SQL, the schemas are static. That meaning the column names, everything is static. But whereas in NoSQL, dynamic. Anytime, right? Anytime. Unstructured meaning videos also. Why you are going for videos? Right? So, and then in NoSQL, the schemas are rigid and bound to relationship. Whereas in NoSQL, schemas are rigid. No, it is flexible. Anytime you can go and add, remove everything, you can do it. So SQL is designed for complex queries, whereas NoSQL is designed for complex queries. No. So here we call it as columns, tables, rows, but here in NoSQL we call it as collections and documents. And what are the few examples that you have in SQL? MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, MS SQL, all these are all RDBMS databases. Whereas NoSQL meaning MongoDB, Bigtable, Redis. Where have you heard about Redis? Elastic, as yesterday only we did know. So the Redis is RDBMS database or NoSQL? That's why I said it's a key value pair. I was saying no. So this NoSQL is, in NoSQL also there are different models, guys, different types. We have columnar family, graph database, document database, key value database. In NoSQL, there are different types. What are those? Columnar based database, graph database, document database, key value database. Our DynamoDB supports key value and document. Which one? This is a certification question. So DynamoDB supports which NoSQL database model? Key value and document. Key value is nothing but JSON. Okay. So in key value database model, our Redis is there. See. In document base, your MongoDB is document based database. So your columnar database, meaning mostly big data, everything will go for the columnar database. And this Neo4j, InfoGrid, all these are all graph database. So we no need to go there, but let's come to our actual topic. So DynamoDB offers push button scaling. What is that called? Chidi, what is that called? Push button scaling. Push button scaling meaning what? Okay, let me talk about RDS. So guys, in RDS, if you want to increase the performance, what you do? Two ways I said. What is that? One is read replicas. Another one is scale up. For doing the scale up, do you need to stop the RDS instance or can you do it on fly? You need to stop the RDS instance. You need to have downtime. So to increase the performance in RDBMS, there should be a downtime. But in DynamoDB, push button. Push button meaning if you say, hey, DynamoDB, increase, automatically the performance will get increased. You need to put some numbers. That numbers will learn. You just increase the number of numbers. If you increase that number, automatically DynamoDB will get scale out automatically. And by the way, guys, this DynamoDB is not server based. It is serverless. DynamoDB is what? Serverless. And also in RDBMS, in RDS, what we did, we created a DB instance, no? It's a server we created, no? But here in DynamoDB, there is no server. In DynamoDB, directly you need to go and create a table. In DynamoDB, what you need to create directly? Is there any possibility of creating server in DynamoDB? No. If you go to DynamoDB, what is the only thing that you have to create? Create table. When you're creating table, you should be ready with all the column names and all. So DynamoDB is serverless. So directly you create a table and the performance of the table will automatically taken by AWS. Nice. So these are all fine. So generally, what do we do with the database, guys? For the database, what we do, we read and we write. Yes or no? The only two things we can do. What are the two things? Read and then write. So in read, there are two types. In read, there are two types. We call it as ECR, SCR. What is that? ECR, SCR. ECR meaning eventually consistency reads, and SCR meaning strongly consistency reads. ECR and then SCR. So remember in S3, we discussed about the consistency models in S3, eventually consistency model, read after write models, right? Similarly, here also we have two types of model. Guys, in DynamoDB, eventually consistency read meaning, if at all, eventually meaning slowly, strongly meaning immediately you can read. There are two types. What are those? We call it as ECR and then SCR. I'll talk more about this slowly. Okay. So I hate going all these things. I don't like. So let's go with our normal paint. So what is the today's topic that we talk about? DynamoDB. So I already gave you little basics on the DynamoDB, correct? Is this clear till here, everyone? So DynamoDB is structured query language or unstructured? Unstructured. Relational or not relational? Not relational. If you know this, this is good. Okay. Do you know what is table? Table? What is table? Collection of columns and rows. If you don't know, if anyone doesn't know what is table, guys, in our childhood or in our college days, if I think definitely you might have did some project. What is the default table name that we always create? What is the table name that we create all the time? Employee table. What table? Employee. Always, if you go to any institute or any college or anywhere, what is the default that they always create? Employee table. So now I'm just going and creating a table. Okay. So this is the table, guys. And the table has contained was columns and rows. Okay. Okay. So this is table. If you don't know table also, guys, just imagine your Excel sheet. Excel sheet also contains the collection of columns and rows. Okay, can you tell me this is the employee table, no? So what is the columns that the employee table contain? This is a employee table. Tell me what is the employee? Employee number, employee name, phone number. Okay, so address, or I put salary of it, and then I put department. Which department? So you can have so many columns like this. You can have address, so, and then secondary. Oh, there are so many things. Okay. Okay. Now let us go and write the rows here. I'll say 1000 employee number. Whose name? Pavan. Pavanveer, you only. No, okay. Okay, Pavan. So this is an employee number. So employee phone number. I don't have space. I'll put salary. How much you need? 20 lakhs. So department. So IT department. I'll put. So next 1001. Whose name? Like, Sai. So I'll take some number. How much Sai? Take 30 lakhs. Not even able to take it. So, DevOps. So now 1002. Raji. R-A-J-I. Raji. So Raji. So so this is not her phone number. Don't call. So that is a random number. Okay. So Raji, take 40 lakhs. So, okay. Party. Okay. So admin. And finally 1003 I'll put. Who is the luckiest guy? We'll take online guy. Vijay. So some random name. Okay. Finally 50 lakhs. Which department? AWS. You will get it, no? Right? Obviously. Okay. Enough here. Should I keep on writing or? Okay. So what are these called? The one which I have wrote, they're all rows. Employee number, employee name, phone, salary, department. All these are all called. All this is called columns, and rest everything is called rows. Okay. So what are these called? These are called columns. Okay. And what are these called, Nana? The bottom ones? Rows. Rows. But in DynamoDB, columns are called attributes. What are called? Attributes. And rows are called items. Rows are called items. So what is a DynamoDB table now? Can you tell me what is a table? Table is a collection of attributes plus items. So attributes plus items. Getting it? So those who don't know table, so I gave the basic idea on it. Okay. So now let us talk about primary key. What is it now? What is primary key? What is primary key? Developers. Primary key. Primary key is, can we say, which is unique and which is not null? Can you tell me here, based on this column names, which one is the unique? Which can be a primary key? Employee number. Employee number can be a primary key. So can I say this employee number is a primary key? So can I call it as PK? Not Pawan Kalyan. Right, PK, primary key. So primary key, can I say which is the value should be always unique and not null. So employee number is always unique. Is it possible to have a 1003 again? No, that should be always unique. So that is the primary key. So guys, here, this primary key in DynamoDB, we call it as primary key in DynamoDB, we call it as partition key. What key is this? In DynamoDB, instead of calling it as primary key, what should we call? Partition key. Very important. And also in DynamoDB is serverless. Is it possible for you to go and create a server? What we will create in DynamoDB? Table we'll create. What do we create? Table we create directly. Guys, while creating the table, generally in RDBMS, you need to design the table, no? What are the columns that you should have? But in DynamoDB, guys, in DynamoDB, you no need to design the whole table. I told you, it is flexible. So in DynamoDB, you need to create, while creating the table, you need to give only one column. How many columns? Only one column you need to give. And that column should be primary key. Guys, in DynamoDB, while creating a table, how many columns that you should give? Only one column. And that column should be primary key. That column should be primary key. And can we add the columns later? Yes. That is the concept of NoSQL, no? So I'll write it here in DynamoDB. In DynamoDB, initially, you can create a table with single column. Okay. And that should be primary key. Primary key or partitioning both are same or different? Same. So in DynamoDB, primary key is mandatory then? Yes, in DynamoDB, primary key is mandatory. While creating a table. Got it, Nana? Slowly, Arams. Okay. Now let's talk about what is composite key. What is that? Composite. Composite key is the combination of primary key plus sort key. What key? Sort key. So let's see what is composite key. So composite key is a combination of your partition key plus sort key. Can I say this also? Because primary key is same as your partition key. Okay, now we know what is primary key, but we need to know what is sort key. Listen this carefully. I'll make this very easy for you. Now, based on this table, is it possible for me to have one more 1,000? No, because the row should be, the column should be unique. So 1,000 Pawan is already there. Is it possible for have one more employee number called 1,000? But see, guys, you had a very hard requirement that you must and should, you need to have the duplicate value there. Is it possible? No. But what if you need to have? What if you need to have? So if you need to have one more, if you need to have the primary column as a duplicate values, to have a duplicate values, what you need to do is, you need to use the sort key. So sort key meaning, can you tell me here in these columns, what will be the next primary key? Next possible primary key? Phone number. Name, how come? Name can be, guys, name can be, see, Pawan, we have so many Pawans, right? It is possible to have duplicate values. But what would be the next possible primary key? Phone number. Phone number should be always unique, no? Is it possible to have two employee numbers with the same phone number? Even they are wife and husband also, they have different numbers, correct? So what would be the next possible of primary key here? Phone number. And this will be the sort key. What is it, Nana? This will be the sort key. So if I want to add 1,000 now, can I add 1,000 now? Answer is yes, but there is one catch here. There is one catch. The one catch here is the combination of your employee, the primary key and sort key should be unique. The combination of your primary key and the sort key should be unique. Okay, now I'm adding one more 1,000 here. Is it possible to add same phone number? No, it should be something different. Then only it will able to allow. And I call it as Sharif. Possible? So I'm just giving an example. In employee table, you not have, but if you have a requirement that you need to have a multiple, duplicate values for your primary key, what is the concept that you should use? Sort key you should. But sort key is mandatory or optional? Optional. It's a completely optional. Is it clear what is sort key for you? So sort key is optional, and whereas primary key is mandatory. So sort key is optional, whereas primary key is mandatory. Got it? So I'll write it here. If you have a primary key for a single column, okay, is it possible to have duplicate values? If is it possible to duplicate values? Duplicate values are not allowed. If you have primary key for a single column, not allowed. So if you have a primary key plus sort key, if you have PK plus SK, then duplicate values are clear? Primary key and sort key concept. Online, is this clear? Is it till here? I'm making it very easy. Doesn't matter if you're a developer or whoever it is. So guys, here, what is employee number? EMP number. EMP number is what? What is EMP number? Here it is primary key, no? So employee number is the primary key. And this primary key, this employee number, we call it as hash attribute. What attribute? Hash attribute. Employee number, generally it is a primary key, no? That employee number, we call it as hash attribute. It is called hash attribute. Phone number, what is phone number? Sort key, right? So phone number is the sort key. And this is called range attribute. What is called range attribute? Hash attribute and then range attribute. So guys, when your developers, when they are creating a table from through the code, they will be identified as a hash attribute and then range attribute. So DynamoDB data is stored in which format? DynamoDB data is stored in what is it called? JSON format. In JSON format. And DynamoDB supports what models? Document models and then key value. Confusion in sort key. Is there any confusion in sort key? No way. Mishra, simple. So is it possible to have one more 1,000 in employee number? Not possible because you have the employee number as a primary key. So in primary key, there is no way that you can duplicate the values. But if at all you want to duplicate the values, what is the concept that you can enter? Sort key. So for that, you need to have the sort key assigned, right? So what would be the next possible primary key after employee number? Phone number. So phone number, you can make it as sort key. So now the combination of your primary key and then sort key should be unique if you are entering the duplicate values. So if you're putting 1,000, it will allow. But sort key should be the same as the first phone number. No, it should be different. Then only the sort key will input. Clear? Simple. Okay. Now, guys, in DynamoDB, in normal your RDBMS, normal your RDS, normal databases, let's say I have Sai there, 1001 Sai. Now I have changed this Sai to Sai Kumar. I have changed it to Sai Kumar. So now tell me, after changing to Sai Kumar, is it possible to know what was there before after you update your table? No, right? No way, right? Is it possible to see? Okay, you updated the Sai to Sai Kumar. Do you know what was there before after updating Sai Kumar? No. Until unless you go into transaction level logs, there you can find it, but it's very hard to go there. But whereas in DynamoDB, guys, all these item level changes can be captured. Item level. What is item level? Item meaning here, row. What you thought, huh? Right? Item level changes can be captured. So that item level changes can be captured. There is a concept called DynamoDB streams. What is this called? DynamoDB streams. So DynamoDB streams is nothing but it's called like a change log. So whatever the changes that you have done on the item level, everything will get captured here. Okay. Item level changes will be captured. So if you modify, delete anything, where does it go and sit? In DynamoDB streams, it will go and sit. Guys, you can use DynamoDB streams also, and there is another service called Kinesis streams. There is a separate service called Kinesis that is for data streaming purpose, video streaming, data streaming purpose. We are not covering that because it is related to your video streaming, like your media, live, TV, right? So, and if you want to stream your data and video streaming, so then you go for the Kinesis streams. So you can use Kinesis streams also to capture the item level configurations. Okay, so it will capture either your old value, new value, or it will capture the both values. Based on your configuration, it will capture. You understood what is streams? Okay. So now, here also we have something called consistency models. What is that? Consistency models. So we have two types of consistency models. Mainly in databases, what do? We read and write, correct? We read and then we write. Read and then write. Guys, in read, we have two types. What are those? Just now we discussed, I mean, in the PPT. In reads, we have two types of reads. What are those? ECR and then SCR. So which one is the default one? ECR is default. Very good. So ECR is default one. ECR meaning eventually consistency reads, and SCR meaning strongly consistency reads. Very important, the definitions. So ECR meaning whenever you update any values in the table, immediately you will get it, but milliseconds delay will be there. But if you use strongly consistency reads, whenever there is a reads are happening, immediately, and whenever writes are happening, immediately you can read it. Okay. Is it clear, Nana, till here? Okay. Now we have something called, from our childhood, we were learning this. Guys, do you know index? Indexes. What is an index? I'll give the same example that we learned before in our childhood days. If you take a book, in book, what is the first page you get? Index page only, no? So in our childhood also, we read a lot and that index page will get teared off. Correct? Remember? And if you want to go to any chapter, what you do? If you don't have index, you'll go one by one, page by page. If you want to go for particular exercise, you go page by page, and then you'll go to, right? So, but how about in database? In database, you have so much of data. You might have millions of data, but how do you read it? In book also, you're reading purpose only, no? In book, for the book also, you're reading it. So if you have index page, and if you want to go to particular exercise or chapter, you see the index page and see the number, the page number, and you directly go there. So it is saving a lot of time and the performance is super high. But if you don't have index page, you are going one by one. So if I have millions of rows in my table, and if I want to retrieve a particular value, so indexes is much and should to increase the performance. Yes, if you don't have indexes, it will go and check row by row, it will go and check. But if you write indexes, it will be directly going and then hitting that value. So these indexes will be created by the developers because we don't know what to write, where to fetch. So indexes. So in DynamoDB, there are two types of indexes, Anna. How many types? LSI, GSI. Local secondary index. Local secondary index. For this, the combination should be partition key plus any column as sort key. So how does the developer will write? They can use the partition key plus any column as a sort key. Generally, we use phone number only, no? But in indexes, you can put any column as a sort key and you can retrieve the data. It's up to you, up to the developer. And the second one here is GSI. What is it? Global secondary index. Global secondary index. So this one, you have any column as primary key plus any column as sort key. So people uses this indexes concept and they will retrieve the data fastly. So indexes is used for what purpose? Na? It helps to increase the performance of the table, and it is used for retrieving the data. Okay. Guys, there is one certification question here. LSI can be created only at the time of creating the table. LSI can be created only at the time of creating the table. Later, LSI cannot be modified, cannot be deleted, cannot be done anything on LSI. But GSI, it can be created anytime, it can be deleted anytime. But LSI, guys, cannot be done. LSI can be created only at the time of creating the DynamoDB table. Okay. Later, you cannot modify or delete the LSI. Whereas GSI, Nana, GSI can be created, modified, delete anytime. Super. Okay. So in DynamoDB, this is a very important topic, which is called provisioned capacity units. What is this? Provisioned capacity units. So we have two types of capacity units. We call it read capacity units. And then other one is, yes, write capacity units. Very important, guys. In shortcut, you call it as RCU and WCU. RCU and WCU. RCU and WCU, guys. So what is RCU? Read capacity unit. WCU, write capacity. Your DynamoDB performance depend upon the number of RCUs and number of WCUs. Guys, DynamoDB performance depend upon RCU and WCU. How much number that you have given, based on that, DynamoDB will read and DynamoDB will write. I told you, push button scaling. If you increase this, okay, I'll give one example. How much AWS is giving. Guys, by default, one RCU. Guys, one RCU is equal to, how much? 5.2 million reads it will do. How many? One RCU, how many million reads? 5.2 million reads. One WCU is equal to 2.5 million writes will do. How many? 2.5 million. One RCU, 5.2 million. One WCU, 2.5 million. And your AWS, this DynamoDB is giving, by default, DynamoDB is giving 5 RCU and 5 WCU. By default, it will give. Just imagine how much super speed, jet, rocket, not even rocket, that much high performance you will get it from the DynamoDB. If you have trillions of data per second also, it can handle it. Trillions. It can handle it. So it is very, very powerful. So I have given 5 RCUs and 5 WCUs, right? So based on this number, your DynamoDB performance will be there. So the question here is, sir, how do we know how much number we should give? How do we know? For I created DynamoDB table. Should I give 5? Should I give 10? Should I give 20? How much? So guys, for that, there is something called formula that we need to know. So for now, what I'll just write the formula, and detail on that we'll discuss tomorrow. First, let's take the formula. So write down, guys. For ECR, in reads we have two types. No, what are those? ECR and then SCR. So for ECR, 1 RCU is equal to 2 reads per second of 4 KB size. This is for ECR. Okay. For SCR, one RCU is equal to only one read per second of 4 KB size. Whereas here, one WCU is equal to only one write per second of 1 KB size. I want you to remember this. And then what I do is tomorrow I'll show you, I'll give you some math problems. Tomorrow we'll do some maths. So I'll tell Babu, this customer wants to read these many records items per second. And he wants strongly consistent how much RCU, WCU that you have to give. Like this. So I'll give you examples. We'll do some math there. Today, because it is DynamoDB, it is related to developers. I don't want you guys to stress on it. But is it clear till here? Did I make it easy? Guys, is this clear till here? Everyone? Fine, no? No tension. No, it is not going out above the head, right? Nice. Very good. All right. And I'll make even super easy tomorrow. And tomorrow what we do is we'll do the DynamoDB. Generally, we don't need to do practicals, but I'll show you on the DynamoDB how to create tables and how to manage all these things. We'll show you. And also parallelly, tomorrow, first half, I'll go DynamoDB. Second half, we already learned about CloudFront. Remember, we already learned about CloudFront. And tomorrow, we'll do the practicals on CloudFront. Because that is very important. If you have your applications globally, if you want to give the good performance, you need to enable CloudFront, correct? So we'll create one application that can be on EC2, that can be in S3 bucket. Can we have S3 website hosting? We can do it, and then we configure the CloudFront, and then we'll access it. Tomorrow, we'll cover these two things. Okay? Super. Can you take the screenshot, guys? Done. And the second one. Okay, please go through this couple of slides. Just 5 minutes, have a look. Okay, and tomorrow we'll continue with the provision capacity units, how we do RCUs and WCUs on DynamoDB. Okay, now? Any questions? Can you give the final CC for today, guys? Super. Excellent. So that is all, guys, for today. And I'll see you tomorrow with the continuation of this DynamoDB. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Good night.